The year 1914, a time of empires and elegance. Yet beneath the surface, Europe simmered with tension. Nationalism, a powerful force, gripped the continent. Nations believed in their own superiority, yearning for land and dominance. This bred rivalry and mistrust. To protect themselves, nations forged alliances. Germany and Austria-Hungary stood together. Opposing them were France, Russia, and Great Britain. These alliances, meant to deter aggression, became a dangerous game of dominoes. One wrong move could topple them all. Then came the spark. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated in Sarajevo. The killer, Gavrilo Princip, was a Serbian nationalist. This act, shocking in its audacity, set off a chain reaction. Austria-Hungary, fueled by anger and a desire for revenge, issued an ultimatum to Serbia. Serbia, backed by Russia, refused to comply fully. The fragile peace shattered. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. World War I had begun. The declaration of war triggered a cascade of alliances. Germany, bound to Austria-Hungary, declared war on Russia and France. Great Britain, obligated to defend Belgium's neutrality, declared war on Germany when German troops crossed into Belgian territory. Within weeks, Europe was engulfed in a war that nobody had foreseen or desired. The continent fractured into two armed camps. On one side stood the Central Powers Germany, Austria-Hungary, and later the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. On the other side stood the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, Russia, and eventually Italy, Japan, and the United States. The early months of the war saw a German offensive on the Western Front, aimed at capturing Paris and quickly ending the war. However, the French and British armies held firm, and the war settled into a bloody stalemate. World War I introduced a new era of warfare. Gone were the days of grand cavalry charges and open battlefields. This war was defined by trench warfare, a brutal and static form of combat. Millions of soldiers found themselves trapped in a labyrinth of trenches that stretched for hundreds of miles across the battlefields of France and Belgium. Life in the trenches was a nightmare. Soldiers endured constant shelling, machine gun fire, and the ever-present threat of sniper attacks. New technologies developed at the turn of the century made this war far more deadly than any before. Machine guns, capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute, mowed down soldiers by the thousands. Poison gas, a horrifying new weapon, choked and blinded its victims. Tanks, lumbering behemoths of steel, offered a glimmer of hope for breaking the stalemate, but their impact was limited in the early years of the war. The Western Front was the central theatre, but the conflict spread beyond Europe. The Ottoman Empire opened new fronts in the Middle East, threatening the Suez Canal. Colonial troops from Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean fought far from home. The war highlighted global interconnectedness and European imperialism's reach. In 1917, two events changed the war's course. The US declared war on Germany, tipping the balance to the Allies. Russia, in revolution, signed a peace treaty with Germany. The war ended on November 11, 1918, with the Armistice of Compiègne. The guns fell silent after over 4 years of bloodshed. The world had changed forever. The Treaty of Versailles ended the war but sowed future conflict seeds. It imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses and reparations. German resentment contributed to the rise of nationalism and World War II. World War I left an indelible mark on the 20th century. It shattered empires, redrew Europe, and ushered in a new era of conflict.